Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Face the Heels. This is episode 14. I am your host, Ben Cornett, and here's my Twitter handle at BennyBoy702. How is everybody doing tonight? I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, we're going to get right into it with the wrestling talk. As you know, we got a lot going on this week in wrestling. It's a big week, obviously, for uh, both WWE and AEW. Um, this week AEW has a pay per view, Double or Nothing. Um, WWE has a show called Night of Champions, which is in Saudi Arabia this Saturday. And NXT also has a show on Sunday night, same time as Double or Nothing for AEW. So it's quite a week in pro wrestling. So why don't we get right to it? Um, let's talk about the big talk all week in AEW has been or as of late, the past week or so, has been the AEW Collision. It's a brand new show that's going to be coming to TNT on Saturday, June 17th, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be from what I understand, a 2-hour episode. So it's now a third show for AEW. For me personally, I don't know why they want to do a third episode or third show in a week. Now this could be ordered by Turner. It may not be Tony Khan's call. It may be Turner's call. Maybe they're paying Tony Khan, who runs AEW, money to have a third show. And while that's all fine and everything as far as the financial part goes, I just feel like AEW just doesn't need a third show right now. I get it. You have a huge talent roster, hundreds of wrestlers in AEW, but the shows they're doing right now, the Dynamite, it's barely reaching 900,000 per week. Excuse me, on average. Um, I mean, they're staying the course. They're staying consistent around the 850 to 900,000 viewer range per week. And Rampage, I understand, is doing probably like 500,000, 600,000. It's or 400,000 or 500,000 on average, from what I read. I, but now you want to do a third show where Saturdays are you know really tough because people are out on Saturday nights usually, especially the younger demographic. The 18 through 49-year-olds or 18 to 35 might be out. With friends, they might be going to the bar. They might be doing some other stuff, and it's an interesting call there for AEW. We'll see what happens. There's just been so many weird things leading up to this. Obviously with the show was supposed to be based around CM Punk and his return and everything. There was plans that this was going to happen. Everything was actually agreed upon, but then things started to go sideways. CM Punk claims that, according to a lot of reports, that there was some miscommunication between him and Tony Khan. CM Punk has his friend Ace Steel, who's like a confidant to him. As you remember last year, I think it's last September, after the All Out pay per view, there's a big skirmish backstage after the show where Punk and Ace Steel went to the Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks locker room. They had that brawl in there. A lot of things, a lot of BS going on that led to Punk, being off TV. Now, you got to remember, CM Punk actually he had a torn pec. So even if that skirmish didn't happen, he probably would have been off TV anyway, because he had to get surgery for it. But yeah, it was a very ugly mess. The Kenny Omega Young Bucks were suspended, for like a couple months. They came back in November. But anyway, they want this new show Collision supposed to be designed around CM Punk and for several wrestlers to join the show with him. Having wrestlers like Andrade, Miro, Thunder Rosa, and Powerhouse Hobbs, and so it's gonna be like kind of like a brand split. And the latest coming within the last week was now that Warner Brothers Discovery, who did the upfronts last week, said that CM Punk was not affiliated with the Collision show. So, and we heard weeks earlier that that show was supposed to be centered around CM Punk, mainly to keep, CM Punk and Omega and Young Bucks separate. They would be on different shows. So now with Punk supposedly out of the picture, we don't know for sure. There's still time, I guess, to come to an agreement, try to get Punk on this show, but it was originally slated for to be in Chicago at the United Center. As we know, CM Punk is from Chicago. They wanted to make this an epic return for him, but now the venue has changed. And usually when the venue's changed, that usually doesn't mean that Punk won't show up, but he may not show up for this show. And so Tony Khan on Wednesday night on Dynamite is going to announce a new location. Rumor has it he's reached out to Daly's Place in Jacksonville. It's the home base of AEW. That's where they had their shows for over a year and a half during the pandemic. And if, like I said, this show, it just seems like it's snake bitten. And I don't know, man. This, again, I feel like a third show is just really not good for this brand right now because, they got to focus on the shows they do have, mainly Dynamite, to try to grow that product. Now, again, this could be Warner Brothers Discovery that's pushing for this show. It may not be Tony Khan himself, going to say, hey, I want a third show. It could be WB Discovery. But at the same time, Warner Brothers said that CM Punk was not affiliated with Collision, where Tony Khan's trying to center the show around Punk. So it's a real mess right now. I, for one, I really want AEW to succeed, but they got to get their act together. They're in what, I believe, year 4 now, being a company. They started out hot. Now, the pandemic didn't really help matters. Obviously, it didn't help matters for wrestling in general or sports in general because fans couldn't come to the shows. They were not allowed to for health reasons. And, but right now we've been having shows with crowds now for over a year and a half, almost 2 years. So it's time for AEW to, start getting it going. Creatively, they've been up and down. This Sunday, their pay-per-view, Double or Nothing. The main event's going to be a 4 pillars match for the world title: MJF versus Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara. On paper, it looks like a good match. It'll be good from a match standpoint. It should be good. The creative has been okay with it, but the show, it just doesn't feel like it's going to be a great pay-per-view, especially from a creative standpoint. Other matches have been talked about. FTR defending the tag team titles against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. We just found out that Jamie Hayter will take on Toni Storm. Jamie Hayter's the AEW Women's Champion. She'll defend her title against Toni Storm of the Outcast. Also, the just announced last week, Hangman Page returned. He's going to join Omega and the Young Bucks. They're going up against Blackpool Combat Club, Moxley, Danielson, Claudio, and Wheeler Yuta. So it's going to be an Anarchy in the Arena match. They did that last year at Double or Nothing. With the same thing, Blackpool Combat Club, along with they went up against the Jericho Appreciation Society. It was a very fun match, but this year, I guess it'll be okay, but we'll see what happens. They're probably going to announce a couple other matches, but it just seems like the lead up to Double or Nothing has been kind of lackluster, and it just hasn't had the same hype as it did last year. Obviously, last year CM Punk was there. He took on Hangman Page for the AEW titles. So this year it's feeling a little different. And again, we'll see what happens with Double or Nothing. I think they got to really hit a home run here to try and grow the audience, this week. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But before we switch gears here, I wanted to, speaking of Collision, I wanted to show you the new logo that they got. It just came out. This is it right here. Yeah, as you can see, the AEW, that is the debut show. That's Saturday, June 17th. I know you can't see the whole image there, but it's funny because it looks like, remember WCW Monday Nitro? Similarities, right? Take a look at this. That kind of looks familiar, like that logo right there. Yeah, let's see. Right there. Talk about familiarity, right? Hey, they say, what do they call that? There's a quote there. I forget, but imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Yeah. So, yeah, that is Collision's new logo. I guess they're trying to be like Nitro back in the day, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. But we're going to switch gears for a minute. Tonight, we got Monday Night Raw, obviously going on right now in the background. It's the build up to Night of Champions, obviously. From what I've caught, Brock Lesnar pretty much broke Cody's arm. So we'll see what happens this weekend. Storyline wise, will Cody be able to wrestle with a broken arm? We'll see. I'm sure he will, but it seems like since WrestleMania things have cooled down. Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, especially those two. Especially Sami Zayn. Remember, just a few months ago, we were talking about him possibly being the guy to dethrone Roman Reigns. Now, that didn't happen, and that's okay. It's a good thing it didn't. Obviously, you don't want to beat Roman. Nothing against Sami, but he's not the guy that should be taking the belts off Roman Reigns. But now it just seems like he's just kind of, the crowd's still there, but it's not as loud for him as it was a few months ago. So he's kind of cooled down a bit. They're going to take on Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns for the WWE Undisputed Tag Team titles. I expect the Sami and KO to retain. And I think they need to move on from the Bloodline. Start a fresh feud with another tag team, because I think it's just ran its course. It was great for over a year. Sami Zayn was really good. When he was with the Bloodline and when he left the Bloodline, great story. But I think for him, just something different needs to be in the cards for him at this point, because it's just calling him off. I think, if I'm taking a guess, Sami and KO their next program may be with the Street Profits. I think that would probably be the best thing, even though they're both babyface tag teams. There's talk that Street Profits and Bianca Belair could be turning heel this summer, and that could be good for them as well because they've been baby faces for so long. A change of character could be good for both Bianca and the Street Profits. And as you know, Bianca Belair is married to one of the Street Profits, so Montez Ford. So in real life, but yeah, I think a change of scenery would be great for Sammy and KO. Kind of get out of that bloodline feud. There's really not much you can do with that. So I think it's time for Solo and Roman against the Usos. That should be the next program. Sammy and KO, the next program should probably be the Street Profits. It's probably the best tag team that's out there right now. So yeah, that's pretty much that on Night of Champions. As you know, we got comments. Scott's first. Sean Spencer, don't miss out on this. Okay. And Andrew Faubert, I might come on again. Okay. Yeah. So, but anyway, that's what's going on at Night of Champions. Also, we had just a little bit ago, we had Trish and Becky do the contract signing. So I guess that's official for Night of Champions. Should be a good match. As far as who I think would go over in that match, that's something I would have maybe held on to that until SummerSlam, but I get it. They want to see it now, so they may extend this rivalry, kind of like Brock and Cody. They may extend this Trish Becky rivalry. Maybe Trish gets the win here, and then Becky will get the win in the next matchup, either at Money in the Bank or SummerSlam. So, they'll have a nice program this summer. See, I'm trying to think. Obviously, the inaugural champion will be crowned at Night of Champions, the World Heavyweight Championship. That'll be between Seth Rollins from Raw, AJ Styles from SmackDown. That I think is going to be a very good match in the ring. Those two can really work. Both are very good in the ring. It's not going to be a bad match at all. Match-wise, it should be fun. It should go over like 20 minutes. But I think for me, I think Seth's going to win this thing. I think he's been slated to win this title. And, AJ's on SmackDown, so, they're not going to move him to Raw. So I expect Seth Rollins to win this match, win the title, become the new World Heavyweight Champion. Again, my thoughts on that world title, I think I understand Raw needs a champion, but I just don't think you need a third title. Roman's got 2 other titles on SmackDown. They could have creatively tried to take one off of Roman, but it didn't happen, so they made this title. Again, I just look at it as a consolation prize for for the Raw brand, for the wrestlers who couldn't beat Roman. That's how I look at that belt right now. Hopefully it'll someone like Seth, especially if he wins it, can elevate that title, but I just feel like it's a secondary title, in my opinion. That's how I feel. So yeah. Let's see. Also, I want to get into the injuries we've had lately. It was reported today that Dakota Kai, member of the Damage Control Group, with Bailey and Io Sky, suffered a torn ACL. That was reported, in the dirt sheets. And it's weird because she suffered the injury when she was trying to protect Liv Morgan, because I guess Liv Morgan had a shoulder injury during their match last week, and so Liv is hurt with a shoulder injury. She may need surgery. They don't know yet. They're going to get an MRI on that. But for Dakota Kai, the MRI came back with a torn ACL. So she's probably going to be out close to a year. Usually that's an 8 to 10 month recovery time. But with medical technology advancing these days, she may come back a little sooner than that. Who knows? But yeah, it's too bad. Injuries, they happen in wrestling. With Dakota, that whole damage control thing, it's not really been working. I've been on the record saying they should really end this thing because it's kind of ran its course. Hasn't worked out as well as I think WWE thought. So they may have to force damage control to break up because of the injuries. So, and that might not be a bad thing. It sucks for Dakota Kai. You don't want to see anybody get hurt, but and Liv Morgan as well. So they had to relinquish, or Raquel has to pick a partner, I guess, tonight. I don't know if they have the match yet, but she needs a tag team partner so they can defend the titles. So that's too bad. The injuries have really started to creep up on WWE in the women's division of all places, because with the women's division in WWE, it really hasn't been stellar lately. Over on SmackDown, you got Bianca and Asuka. They're going to rekindle their feud. And they're fighting for the Raw title, which, like I said last week, I don't understand. You got Bianca holding the Raw title on SmackDown, and you got Rhea Ripley holding the SmackDown title on Raw. I know it's confusing. It doesn't make sense, but with WWE creative, especially tonight, I guess I read, I think just before showtime, they did a lot of rewriting of the show. So it's a mess. It is a mess indeed. You could tell that WWE has cooled off since WrestleMania. And I understand it can cool off, but to this degree, it's getting back to what it's been the last few years. And so we'll see what happens. But there was another major injury last night, and we don't really talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling much on this show. I try to talk about other promotions and everything, like Impact, NWA, stuff like that. With New Japan, as you know, the former Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, they had a tournament final for the New Japan Strong Women's Championship, and it was Mercedes Moné going up against Willow Nightingale of AEW. And during the match, I guess Mercedes injured her ankle. That's what the reports are saying. It was a leg, ankle injury type injury. So they had to change the finish on the fly. And it was Mercedes was supposed to win the title, but she had the injury during the match. And so they instead went to Willow Nightingale, and she ended up winning the title. So, and that's great for Willow. I'm happy for her. She's, a young up and coming performer in AEW, and so that's good for her. But for Mercedes, they don't know the extent of the injury yet. They don't know if she'll have surgery or not. So it's too bad. Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, she, great wrestler. I've always said she's probably one of the best female wrestlers we've seen in the last decade. And it's a shame what happened to her in WWE. Things didn't end so well there. She's making her mark in New Japan, in the independent scene. So now she's going to be sidelined. We don't know how long. Hopefully it's not too long. But I feel like with Mercedes, I think she needs to be back on WWE or be in AEW. I mean, she's too big of a star to not be in one of the two brands, is what I'm saying. So hopefully she'll get back there at some point in her career. and hopefully she gets better soon. It's great that she's doing the stuff with New Japan and everything that elevates their company and their women's division. So, and her friend, Trinity Fatu, Naomi in WWE, is an Impact. She so far has done well there, getting good reception, positive reviews there. As far as Trinity Fatu, Naomi, she so far in Impact, she looks like a star. She looks like this is a big signing, and it is for Impact. Especially for that women's division. She's going to elevate that again. That WWE star power definitely helps, and hopefully it'll elevate the knockouts division and Impact with Gazelle Shaw, Deonna Purrazzo. They got some good women's wrestlers on that roster. So yeah, I think that's a great signing for Impact. Good for Trinity, as you know too. Trinity is her last name's Fatu. Obviously, she is the wife of Jimmy Uso. So if you didn't know that already, but yeah, that's pretty much it for the news with all the injuries with the women's wrestling. It's a shame, Mercedes Moné, Liv Morgan, Dakota Kai, 3 injuries in like a week span. Hopefully, things will get better. All of them will come back sooner than later because the women's division, especially WWE, like I said before, I'm going to repeat it again. They really need a lift. They've been kind of stagnant. Like I said, Bianca and Asuka are feuding again. With Rhea, I don't know who she's going to be feuding with. Seems like the main women's feud on Raw is Becky and Trish. So I would assume after Becky's program is over that Becky will go up against Rhea. Trish, she's not going to be there full time, so she's here mainly for this program with Becky Lynch. It's been good. Could be better, but hey, it is what it is. So yeah. Right now we got Raw in the background. Imperium's coming out. They're going to be fighting Sammy, KO, and Matt Riddle tonight. I guess that's the main event for that show. Gunther, that's another one. Intercontinental champion. He's held the belt for over a year now, and interesting to see who he's going to feud with. I'm assuming it'll probably be Matt Riddle. I think that would be a good feud, for the Intercontinental title. Now, will Matt Riddle, will he be the guy to take the title off Gunther? We'll see. But yeah, man, Gunther's been he's been on a roll. I think moving over to Raw is a good thing for him. Gives him some fresh opponents, and yeah, hopefully this brand split thing, like I said, it's how I feel about this. It's it seems like we keep getting the same feuds. We're getting the Bianca Asuka feud from Raw. It's now on SmackDown, so it's not really changed much. But again, hopefully for somebody like Gunther, he can get a fresh opponent, and Riddle would be that's a good matchup. I think Riddle's a very good wrestler, good performer, entertaining. Gunther very good in the ring. So those two guys, I'm sure they'll have good chemistry, and assuming that's the next program, yeah. And U.S. Sumo Wrestling, yeah, I don't know about that. Sumo Wrestling, that's yeah, Scott, I've seen a lot of sumo wrestling matches. It's very traditional in Japan, obviously. Yeah, I don't know why it hasn't gotten bigger out here. I don't know. It would be interesting though to have U.S. sumo wrestling. Um, I don't know if there's an appetite for that, but who knows? Nathan Snell, good evening. Good evening, Nathan. How you doing tonight? Appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you watching this episode. Yeah, tonight we're just going over, the AEW Collision show debut that's supposed to be on June 17th. Obviously, there's been a lot of it's been a bumpy ride on the way to that, with the whole CM Punk thing. Will he be there? Now he's supposedly not going to be on the debut show. There's some miscommunication. It's been a mess with AEW. I said earlier that, they got to get their act together, and Tony Khan's got to take more control of this company. And I'm rooting for him. I really want this AEW to succeed because we need an alternative. Will it ever get to be at the level of WWE? I don't know. Probably not, but at least it can be an alternative. And again, they need to grow this company. I just feel like a third show right now doesn't really do that, especially if the ratings aren't very good. Again, AEW, as I said before, the Dynamite's averaging about 800,000 to 900,000 fans a week, viewership wise. Rampage Friday nights. Again, Friday nights competing against SmackDown. They're getting like maybe 400,000 or 500,000 watching. Now you got a show Saturday night. Even a tougher night because again, people are going to be out. Especially the younger demographic could be at the bars. They could be doing other stuff. That's a tough sell. Especially with a third show. I get it. They have a big roster, but right now they really need to focus on what they have going on at the moment. And a third show, and again, I said this earlier, did maybe Warner Brothers Discovery, they may have wanted this third show. They're maybe paying Tony Khan and AEW to have that third show. Maybe it's not so much Tony Khan. We don't know. We don't know the details, the inside scoops. None of us do. Even the wrestling dirt sheets don't have the full disclosure of it. But again, I just feel like when your product's not really growing right now, and you're adding another show, it's, to me, you really need to focus on trying to improve one thing at a time. And right now, AEW has just been kind of stagnant. And, especially this weekend, they need to have a good pay-per-view, a good week, just get some momentum going, because the last few months it just hasn't been. And I'm not saying they're not trying, AEW creatively. They are, but they gotta. To me, it still feels like an independent wrestling show. It doesn't feel small, but it doesn't feel like big league. And all it takes is really one great angle, a great performer, two great performers having a good program to kind of jumpstart that again. And right now, MJF being the AEW champion, which is great. I'm glad he's the AEW champion. I think he's one of the best performers in the business, not just AEW, but the wrestling business in general. But even, guys like MJF, they need somebody good to work with, and you can only do so much with, talent that are not at that main event level yet. And, guys like Darby Allin, I mean, they're great. They're really fun to watch, but they're not at that main event level. Neither is Jungle Boy, and neither is Guevara. So it's, I do expect MJF to retain. I don't think you could put the belt on the other three guys, one of the other three guys. They're just not at that level. And it'll be interesting to see where MJF goes after this. You know, who does he feud with next? You know, who's out there who's a babyface that can get hot right now for AEW that can be in the same ring as MJF? I don't know. You know, and that's where, again, they haven't really built too many, you know, stars yet. I'm assuming that eventually Adam Cole may be that guy, but he's gonna have a feud. He's feuding with Jericho right now, so and that's a good feud. That's okay. But other than that, I don't know who after this program MJF's having with Jungle Boy, Darby, and Guevara. You know, maybe he has a feud with one of those three guys after Double or Nothing. I don't know, but it just seems like right now it's just really stagnant. The creative's been stagnant, and it's got to get better. You know, and that's what I said with this third show. I just don't think they're ready for it. But again, that might not be Tony's call. Maybe Warner Brothers Discovery's call. Maybe they're paying Tony, but we'll see what happens. Man, so that's pretty much the wrestling news for this week. Again, it's a big week for everybody. WWE, AEW. As you know, WWE's got Night of Champions Saturday afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern start time here in the States on Peacock. And also, they got NXT Sunday night. I think it's Battleground. That's what it's called. Their next takeover show, which is Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on WWE or on Peacock, WWE Network, and other parts of the world. Premium live events. So WWE's got 2 shows this weekend, and AEW has their Double or Nothing shows. So, and they'll have their big announcement Wednesday where the first Collision episode is going to be. It was originally supposed to be the United Center in Chicago because they feel like that would be where CM Punk would be back to debut. But again, there's a lot of miscommunication going on. They don't know if Punk's going to be there or not. So we'll wait and see. And speaking of Collision, they've also announced some shows for Collision shows in Canada. They're going to be touring Canada for the next month or so. They've had tickets on sale for Regina, Saskatchewan, Hamilton, Ontario, Toronto, I believe. They're going to have their Forbidden Door pay-per-view in July, I believe. And Calgary as well. Apparently ticket sales aren't doing very well. So again, now they're in Canada. I understand that. Maybe, does Canada get AEW? I assume they do. Maybe they don't have a big reach like they do in the States, but as far as viewership goes, but the ticket sales are not doing great. Obviously, I believe they're touring Canada mainly because they're having the Owen Hart tournament. They did that. They started last year. And Adam Cole and Britt Baker won the men and women's Owen Hart tournament cup, whatever you want to call it. So, Owen Hart's from Canada. So obviously that's probably one of the reasons why they're doing that tour. Again, the tickets have not been selling great from what I've heard for AEW's Collision shows. Again, you wonder why they have a third show. It'll be interesting. I'm hoping they pull this off and it goes well, but I do have my concerns about that. So Let's see. Scott Taylor has a comment. He says August 4th to August 6th, 2023. Lyle, Illinois. These sumo stars perform again almost every year since 2014 in 5 sumo expeditions at the Destination Asia Festival. Okay. There you go, right there. If you live in that Lisle, Illinois area, check out the Destination Asia Festival for sumo wrestling. So, okay, cool. So they do that in the States. I didn't know that, but thank you, Scott, for that information. It's always good. I appreciate the info. So that's pretty much it. Right now, they're doing the Imperium versus Sammy, KO, and Matt Riddle match. See what happens there. Looks like a good match so far. With that being said, I am gonna call this a night. It's been an interesting episode. Again, I just big week for wrestling. Like I said, with WWE, AEW, big week for them. For both those companies, going to put on 2 shows for WWE and a pay-per-view for AEW. So, yeah, a lot of wrestling to enjoy this week. That being said, I'm going to take off for the week here on Face the Heels. And Scott says, see you Thursday, Ben. Yes, you will see me Thursday night. As you know, the NFL edition will have its 100th episode. Yes, so it is the 100th episode. It's going to be a lot of clips from the past episodes. Talk some, football. We'll get crazy on that show, as you know. Always like to laugh about everything and have fun with it. So it's a big deal. 100 episodes. Congratulations to them, to us, to Johnny Dean, Alex Loosemore, Alex Schomburg, Marty McKnight, Nick Rosario, Sean Spencer, Anthony Handy, Andrew Faubert, everybody that's been on that show. It's been great from day one. So, yeah, check that out Thursday night. I believe it's going to be either 10 p.m. Eastern or 9 p.m. Eastern time. I'll have to give you the details later. I'm not sure yet. But check us out. It's be on the Bucks Report. NFL edition. We'll have that shared right here on the Ben Zone. So 100 episodes. Wow. Like 2 years now. Pretty impressive. So congratulations to us. And as you know, Friday night, have at it. I will be back for episode, I believe it's 23 now. So, and we're going to change the format with have at it. We're just going to get down, talk about anything. We're just going to have at it with any topic. I will put the StreamYard link in the comments section. So if anybody wants to tune in, Scott Taylor for the first time, we're able to talk to him live. So he made an appearance on that show. So you got to see the debut of him. So you just never know what's going to happen on Have At It. So tune in Friday nights, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific. And I got another show called Let's Buck with Ben. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers show, strictly talking about Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hopefully in the next few weeks, we'll have another episode. It'll be episode 3. Like I said, that's a seasonal show. And, as we get to like training camp and preseason and regular season, it'll be on weekly. So stay tuned for those details and more. Also, right here, I want to do a like and share, please, right here. As you can see on above my head there, my social media handles. I'm on Twitter at BennyBoy702. My YouTube channel, Ben Cornett 9015. It's where you can watch this show and all my other shows as well. And as well as the Facebook Ben Zone. You're watching it here on the Ben Zone. I'm also, if you're a friend of mine, I'm sharing that on my page as well. So give that a like and share, please. And with that being said, everybody, have a very ooh, look at this. I have arrived. Yeah. Yeah, right when I end the show, buddy. Right when I end the show, you arrive. Man, talk about being on time, Sean. You're so punctual. Look at you, man. I have arrived. Yeah, like 46 minutes into the show when I'm about to close it out. Oh, man. You gotta love Sean Spencer, man. He is great. He's got his Let's Talk Football. Um, he's, in all seriousness, great guy. Does a lot of great stuff. He's got the Washington Commanders show. Um, him and Will Kramer, they do a really, really good job covering the Washington Commanders. They're huge fans of that team, so I put that on the Ben Zone as well. So check them out. As well as the other shows, like Nathan Snell's got some shows. Covers the Ravens, covers the WNBA. So his stuff will be on the Ben Zone as well. I share just about everybody's stuff because, again, I want to grow my stuff, grow my shows, but I also want everybody to grow their shows as well. And if I can give them a platform to do that, then I will be happy to do that. So that being said, sorry, Sean, but I'm cutting this one short. You arrived too late. Anyway, guys, take care. Have a good week. And I will see you next time right here on Face to Heels with me, Ben Cornett. Have a good night, everybody.